I will call to order the regularly scheduled City of Mauldin Council meeting for September 16th, 2024 at approximately 7 p.m. Thank you all for being here. Let the records reflect that all council members are present, along with myself, our city administrator, our city clerk, who's had to run upstairs for just a second, and our city attorney, Mr. Daniel Hughes. Glad to have him here also. Hopefully we won't need him, but it's good for he's here anyway.
Leave the microphone off.
Yeah, leave it off. It's good. Also, various department heads, and appreciate y'all being here, along with some citizens that I recognize and some former high school friend. We won't mention the year. Also here representing another group and the members of that group. So appreciate y'all being here. With that being said, next item on our agenda is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. I believe Councilman Crayland.
You all would bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all the great things you've given us. Thank you for this world. Thank you for this country. Help us reverse this division that we have going on throughout our country. Let us all come together, one country, with you in our hearts. Thank you for this state, this great state of South Carolina, all the blessings you've brought upon us. And thank you for the city of Mauldin. Thank you for all the blessings we've had here, all the great people. Please be with us tonight as we join together, come together, and help decide some things for the city and help us decide wisely. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is proclamations and presentations. One of the privileges that I have to do this. So let me come down front. We will continue there.
Mayor. Okay. Whichever.
Never been accused of being hard to hear, but we'll use it for electronic means that. One of the privileges I've had over the last few years is to do proclamations, especially for the Constitution of the United States of America. So I'm going to read this, and if the ladies would come up here, we'll present this to you, and any remarks you'd like to make, feel free to do so. Okay? Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Terry Merritt, Mayor of the City of Mauldin, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23 as Constitution Week, and asked our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787, vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. Ladies. Oh. Scared to ask her.
I know it's dangerous to ask me to talk about the Constitution because that was, it's dangerous to ask me to talk about the Constitution because as an American history teacher with a specialty in the Constitution, you're asking me to talk about something that I could go on for literally 10 hours. But I would like to say that I've been thinking about Patrick Henry this year. Patrick Henry did not sign the Constitution and is one of the least well-known of our founding fathers. Most of you, if you know anything about Patrick Henry, he was the one that said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Okay, he did not sign the Constitution because he thought it needed a Bill of Rights. And once they voted the Constitution in against his not wanting to do that, he became the beginning of what was called the loyal opposition. And that is what I think maybe we need today. And not to be too overtly political, but my major was political science, but we need a country that supports all areas. And if we don't get what we want, then we stay loyal to our country and continue to work for its improvement.
This proclamation I am saddened to present, but I am proud to have known this gentleman for many, many years here in the city of Mauldin and his family and watched his two girls grow up. And now her family is here and I think Melissa is out of town, so she can't be here. I did it the other way. I always flip y'all two for some reason. Lindsay is away. So Melissa is here with her husband Shane and her three children. So with this one, let me read it. Then you want to come up while I read it or just after I read it? So. This is Linda, his wife of 52 years. Whereas Gene Smith served the city of Mauldin from 1979 to 1985 as a city councilman. Whereas Gene Smith was the city of Mauldin's recreation director and then went on to be named the executive director of the Greenville County Recreation District. And whereas Gene Smith was married for 52 years to his wife, Linda, with whom he had 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren. Whereas Gene Smith passed away on August 28th, 2024, after having touched the lives of countless individuals and families of our community throughout his life. And whereas Gene Smith will be, will be remembered for his steadfast commitment to our city, his neighbors, and the community at large, and will forever serve as a shining example of devotion, leadership, friendship, and loyalty for others to follow. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Terry Merritt, Mayor of the City of Mauldin, along with all the residents of our city and my fellow council members, do hereby proclaim that we are grateful for Mr. Gene Smith's service to the City of Mauldin, and though he is gone, he will never be forgotten. The City of Mauldin has lost a good and faithful servant, and may God bless Gene, his family, and all others who continue on with his memories, dated the 16th day of September, 2024. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you and me, the residents of Malden, realize what a wonderful place this is. I've never had to deal with something this hard, but many, many prayers, many, many hugs. I can't say the good, it was the good part. And he would have loved being here, and he loved people. He loved that little group on the first row. So I thank you for this proclamation. It means so much. Thank you so much.
Family, if you want to join me up here, we'll get some pictures. I want a picture.
You didn't do good on that crime part.
There you go.
Thank you.
We want to have one additional presentation, our Fire Safety Award. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, sir. We'll have Chief McCone come and introduce this.
I'd like to welcome Katie from State Fire. She's going to here present our award for us.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Katie Flannery, and I am a member of the Community Risk Reduction Team at South Carolina State Fire, Office of State Fire Marshal. Today, I'm here to present the Fire Safe South Carolina designation for 2023 to Mauldin Fire Department. Throughout the year of 2023, this fire department has made strategic plans to make their community safer. They have attended classes, improved their data quality, and engaged influential community stakeholders. This designation is not easy to achieve. In fact, out of roughly 480 fire departments in South Carolina, only 154 received this designation in 2023. By making strategic plans to reduce risks in the community, your fire department is taking steps necessary to make your community a safer place to live and work. This year, they reported data all 12 months. This information can be used to apply for grants, identify areas that need additional resources, and to track call volume. They reached over 5,000 community members through schools, community events, and public events, and installed over 300 smoke alarms in houses. They partnered with Home Depot, Board Up Pro, and Greenville County Library. At this time, I would like to present this award to Chief McCone, Fire Marshal Centrone, and Deputy Fire Marshal Hall of Mauldin Fire Department. Thank you for your continued efforts to be a Fire Safe South Carolina designated community.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank State Fire for coming up here from Columbia to present this award and all the hard work and dedication from John Centrone and Don Hall, Deputy Fire Marshal Don Hall, and our staff for doing all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Should have recognized earlier, Public Safety Chair. Would you like to make any comments? Ms. King? Not to put you on the spot.
Congratulations to you all. I know Chief, you work hard at being a good leader, a good chief, and meeting those stats that may seem silly to some, but you know how we feel up here about training, et cetera. So good job. We really appreciate all that you do. That's exactly right.
Perfect.
Thank you. And what's the puppy crying in the background?
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. King. Anything else, Mr. Duncan? Are you good? You're good? All right. Next item on the agenda is our city council meeting minutes of August the 19th, 2024. Pleasure of council.
Move for approval is presented.
We have a motion for Mr. Matney. Is there a second? Second, for Mr. Reynolds. Any discussion, clarification, corrections, adjustments? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the minutes stand approved as submitted. Also, we had minutes of a special called city council meeting of September 4th, 2024. Council,
Move for approval as submitted.
we have a motion from Mr. Reynolds. There's a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Crayland. Any discussion, clarifications, adjustments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the accepting as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion to accept the minutes is approved. So next item is public comment. I believe somewhere here I do have, yes. Ms. Delilah?
Delilah.
Delilah.
Yes. Noelle Delilah with Ripple Fiber. Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening. I just wanted to take this opportunity to comment on some of the remarks and concerns that were brought up during last month's fiber franchise meeting with Ripple Fiber. So I know that there was some concern regarding installation fatigue in the community. And I just wanted to reassure you all that it's not part of our business model to come in and overbuild any other providers. So we're looking for underserved and unserved areas where there's not already fiber as an option. That's why we are looking at that one neighborhood currently in Carriage Run. And we have already met with them. They're excited to have fiber as an option. And we're currently working through that process of getting a right of entry agreement with them. I also wanted to just take a minute to say that we want to be good partners with the city and with the residents. We want to stay in good communication. We want to make sure that we're following all the approved steps. We, are going to go in and we're going to get locates called before any construction. We're going to make sure that residents are aware of who we are prior to construction by mailing out postcard mailers and by, going door to door, placing door hangers to notify them of construction and make sure that they have the information and resources that they need to contact us in case of any concerns or questions that's raised. And we do think we go a step above and beyond in trying to address those concerns and make sure that restoration is complete and that it's a smooth process for everyone. We want everyone to be happy. We want the residents to be happy. We want the city to be happy as well. And then finally, if we do, I know there was something brought up about expansion in the future. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if that is a conversation that happens in the future, we will bring that back to the city. And any future expansion plans would be based on areas of new growth or opportunities to go into underserved and underserved areas, whether that's federal funding program through BEAD or things like that. And we would bring those plans to the city. And we've, I think, included verbiage currently in the agreement to that effect, that we would bring that before the city prior to any approvals. So I just wanted to let you all know that and see if there was any questions for me before I take a seat. All right.
Council have any questions? Go ahead. Yeah, Mr. Ogden.
I mean, we normally would ask those questions later, but I'll go ahead and do it now if it's all right. So When you mentioned that the community is excited about coming, did you get any kind of written statement from the HOA or anything like that?
I don't have a written statement, but we're having, further talks with them to get that right of entry agreement, and we can present that, and I'll send that over to Mr. Duncan as soon as we have that. We just have that, we've met with them and they're excited to have us as an option, and we're working through getting an agreement with them currently. And we wouldn't move forward without that. We would need to have that in place.
And what would happen if you did move into this neighborhood, um, and then you decided to eventually pull out of the city of Mauldin?
Well, what do you mean? Pull out as far as remove our infrastructure, or once we
Part of the question, because I don't know the
Um,
the reason why I asked the question the way that I did is that you're coming in to serve an underserved market for fiber, not necessarily for internet as a whole. There's other options out there, but for fiber. So I guess explain to me, if you can, kind of your take on coming into this one particular market. Because on my side of things, almost would rather have someone who's saying that, hey, I'm committed to building out in the city and have that commitment versus someone who's going to take a small piece. And my fear is if you come in and you take that small piece and things don't go the way that you had hoped, now we've got fiber in the ground that is going unused.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely a good question, a good point to bring up. This particular neighborhood is bordered it's unique. It's like a little pocket in the border. So it's included in our plan in this cohort that we have. And it's just one area that happens to be districted in Mauldin versus the surrounding neighborhood. So we'd be building that whole area surrounding that pocket. We wouldn't just be isolating that neighborhood. And then to speak to your question about removing ourselves from the city, that is not in our plan or intention. We are building out Simpsonville. We're building out in Greenville County. We're talking with Fountain Inn, working on an agreement there. So we do want to have a presence. We have a local office in Greenville. We're going to set one up in Simpsonville as well. So we do want to be here in the community, and that's not part of our plan to pull out once it's a lot of investment that goes in. We're a privately funded company to lay this infrastructure and to do the work. So we are invested in the areas that we choose to go into.
And you mentioned, you rattled off a few different cities that you're currently in negotiations with or talks. How many do you have that already have finalized agreements with those cities?
Simpsonville, and then we're working through it with Fountain Inn. So through that franchise process.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Allgood. Anyone else? Hearing none, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
No one else signed up, so we report from our city administrator, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just have a few updates for everyone tonight, and then we have a special presentation. So first off, I'm excited to report the city's Suey Barbecue Festival was a huge success. Thousands of people from as far away as Texas joined in on the fun at the Mauldin Cultural Center this past Friday and Saturday. This year's event featured 25 teams, with 5 of those being new teams and their first competition with us. They were from all over South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina. We were lucky that the rain pretty much held off for the most part, and the barbecue, from what I'm told as a vegetarian, did not disappoint. So I heard it was great stuff. We wanted to thank, of course, our sponsors: South Carolina Federal Credit Union, Wow Internet, Fiber Internet, Ace Hardware, Christina Ortiz State Farm, and our fireworks sponsor this year, which was United Community. I wanted to kind of share with everyone the winners this year. So for the butts competition, we had Monkey Bottom Boys take first place, followed by Daddy Blues Barbecue and JW Cooks rounding out the third spot. In ribs, it was Fitz Barbecue first up. Second place was Tailgater Hater, and third was Slingin' Meat. And then in the brisket category, first place was JW Cooks. Second went to Triple Jack's Barbecue. And third was Monkey Bottom Boys. And the People's Choice Award goes to In the Army Q. And I think they won last year too, People's Choice. I'm mistaken on that, but congratulations to them. And just want to also say thank you to our amazing staff at the Cultural Center, but every department really stepped up and made this event special and fantastic, especially our public works team, our law enforcement officers who are out there, and our firefighters as well, providing support for the special occasion. So next up at the Cultural Center, though, we've got some things going on in September and in October. The Mighty Kicks will be performing on the stage in the theater next Friday night. So get your tickets now. They're $15 a piece, and they're going to go fast. We expect that the Mighty Kicks are likely to sell out, so get your tickets as soon as possible. And then in October, the Mauldin Cultural Center will host Friday Night Flicks at the Mauldin Outdoor Amphitheater each Friday night in October at dusk. Bring your lawn chairs and blankets and join us under the stars for some great classic movie magic. The movie lineup includes Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on October 4th, which is being sponsored by WOW Fiber Internet. Encanto is going to be on the screen on October 11th. Barbie will be October 29th. And on, got October 20, that says 28th. That's probably the 18th, excuse me, typo there. Then on the 25th, we'll have Hocus Pocus, which is also in coordination with the Greater Mauldin Chamber of Commerce, who will host a trick or treat before the movie, starting at 6, running till 7:30. And then last tonight, we're going to showcase a pilot program for City Council. Mauldin Fire Department will be piloting a new fire prevention canine program during Fire Prevention Month, which is in October. Led by Fire Marshal John Centrone, the program utilizes a trained and certified 2.5-year-old German Shepherd mix as an ambassador for the department, a community outreach and education tool, and will serve as a mental health and well-being program for on-duty fire personnel. Owned and handled by Mr. Centrone, Ember is a trained and registered therapy dog and holds AKC titles in both Canine Good Citizen as well as Community Canine. On his own time, Fire Marshal Centrone successfully completed coursework and testing for the Therapy Animal Handler certification through Pet Partners and has trained Ember to serve as a visual aid to demonstrate techniques such as stop, drop, and roll, crawling low in smoke, and proper get out, stay out techniques. Studies have shown that techniques utilizing animal-assisted education are, in general, more successful in helping audiences retain critical information through a longer attention span. The implementation of a fire prevention canine will allow the department to reach a larger audience and draw in more crowds to spread their fire safety message while actively engaging the community that we serve. Ember will also routinely visit with the various fire stations within the district, as well as an active de-stressing tool to assist our fire department personnel. With mental health issues and suicide on the rise, specifically with first responders, this is a great and cost-effective way to make sure our firefighters receive the support they need. Mauldin Fire will be the first fire department in the state to implement a program of this kind. And so with us tonight is Mr. Centrone and his canine Ember, and they're going to come up and show us a little bit more about what they are offering and what they've been working on in the community and what they hope to do during Fire Prevention Month.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm just going to do a quick few demonstrations for y'all, and then if y'all have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. So we'll go through a stop, drop, and roll first. We'll go through her crawling low in smoke. I'm not going to demonstrate the get out, stay out, just because it involves a smoke alarm, and I don't think anyone wants to hear that. But just to give y'all a quick demonstration of what that does, we place her on the ground or in her kennel. We set off a smoke alarm, and then we stand next to a fixed object, such as a mailbox, a street sign. So we're teaching the children to escape to. And then when that smoke alarm sounds, she will actually run to that object and lay down next to it.
All right. All right.
Do you have any questions for me?
I think Ember is very attached to you already.
She is. So we've been working on this project for a little over 2 years now. So we've done all the training together. In my off time, I've brought her around the fire station a lot. So she's really become pretty much anyone in uniform. She is a huge fan of. So
I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amber.
thank you all. Have a good evening.
And
Yeah.
Ember already has her own trading card, and so those will be available here soon too.
Argo has some competition.
So that's actually her best friend, and so they hang out pretty often. And that's my report tonight, sir.
Okay, thank you. And for those of you that were not able to write everything down, Seth said was happening in the city of Mauldin to be on the various websites, I'm sure. Lauren will get it there, I'm sure. Got a lot going on. Fantastic. Okay, next item on our agenda, reports from standing committees, Economic Planning and Development, Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to reiterate what the city administrator said about the barbecue festival this past weekend. Was not able to be there on Friday, but spent the day there on Saturday. It was a tremendous crowd. I heard nothing but compliments from everybody who visited. But from a council perspective, I just want to say thank you to all of the city departments who worked hand in hand to make sure that it went off without a hitch. There wasn't a department that wasn't involved. And we wouldn't have been able to pull off the festival without everybody's work. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. And on that note, I'm sure that our Public Work Director, Mr. Freeman, can describe the cupcake that he had. It was not a cupcake. It looked like one, but it was not. That was on Friday night. So the artistic ability of the cookers on Friday night was very interesting, to say the least. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Matney. Public Safety, Ms. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to echo Mr. Matney's thoughts on the barbecue festival. As with pretty much all events in the city of Mauldin, it takes a team, and we have the best team in the state, in my opinion. Everybody always comes together and makes things happen. And then a quick question for Holly. Has Ember found the finance hall? Okay. So it's solely Margot as of right now. Maybe we won't disclose that information. Thank you.
Also known as the home of the treats. Got it. Thank you, Ms. King. Public Works, Mr. Crayland.
I want to also mention the barbecue festival. Fantastic work, Public Works. You guys did a great job. I know there was some issues first night with some pulling of some water hoses and some let's just say scrambling around, but it all looked flawless. I was there both Friday night and Saturday. Just super impressed. The infrastructure, the new powers, the way you have things set up, just really great. Plus the grass looked fantastic. I also wanted to give a little shout out to Ace Hardware for donating the two fire pits and the chairs. They looked awesome. And my dog, Livy, would like to thank everybody who dropped meat Saturday as we came through, because that's all she cared about as we walked through at the end of it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Crayland. Finance and Policy, Mr. Reynolds, Barbecue Festival.
Mine as well. Yeah, I'll fourth my colleagues over there, but my question is actually for Mr. Duncan. At the last vegan festival you went to, you didn't have nearly as many catchy names as you did over there, did you?
No, not at all.
I have nothing to report from finance, but I did want to take a minute just to talk back to Mr. Smith. I had the pleasure of working with him in 2008 when I came on council. He was the county rec chair, executive director then, and we were on different sides of an aisle on an issue, and still had wonderful conversations with him. He was one of the more compassionate, kind people that I had been around and worked with early when I came on council the first time. But I can say kind and compassionate and brutally honest, and you don't always get that combo. So the one time a month when I'm forced outside to do yard work, he would often pass my yard and we'd speak for a minute. So I will genuinely miss stopping and talking to Gene, but I don't mean to somber the moment, but
Oh.
I didn't want to say that, let that go unsaid. So I'll genuinely miss him and appreciated your sympathy to the family, Mayor. I don't have anything to report from finance and policy, but that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Recreation, Mr. Allgood.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Building codes, Mr. Steenbeck.
A quick reminder that the planning commission meeting will be meeting Tuesday, September 24th, open to the public. So, as always, the agenda is online as well, so people can see what's going on there. And again, thank you to everyone who put on a great festival. Had a wonderful time. And I would really like to know how he trained that dog so well, because I'd like to see if he could do it with some of my boys.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Dogs are easier.
Evidently.
Thank you, Mr. Steenbeck. Next item, unfinished business, ordinance of second reading, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to pass on second reading ordinance number 1044, the franchise agreement with Ripple Fiber.
Motion approved on second reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. King. Any discussion? Mr. Steenbeck.
Yeah, I appreciate Ms. Delilah being here and answering some of our questions that we brought up in last month's meeting. Have done, poked at Seth and sent him more emails than he probably wanted to see from me about the issue, but educating myself on it. I do want to say, for the record, it's not particular to any one of these different companies. I don't have an issue with that, and I certainly don't want to stop companies from coming into Mauldin and providing service to our citizens. My issue is each and every one of these franchise agreements just feels like a blank check. And once we say yes, we really have no control. And I don't have any reason to not to believe, what Ms. Delilah is saying in terms of, her company and what they plan to do, but there's really nothing stopping them from doing it anywhere else. And again, it just, like I said, feels like a blank check that I just don't particularly care for from that standpoint. That's really my big issue there. And I know it probably is going to be difficult for us to address or deal with, but again, I do think the installation fatigue is going to be an issue. I know it already is an issue for some of us. So that, again, that still is my concern.
We're all good.
I do have a follow-up question for Ms. Delilah, if she's available. In our packet, it talks about that Ripple Fiber offers up to 1 gig of upload and download internet for $85 a month. I was curious if you might be able to expand on whether or not there are other price points, or is it just one singular price point?
There is, we offer a quarter gig for 55 a month.
55?
Mhm.
Thank you. That's the only question.
Anyone else? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to pass on second reading the ordinance establishing a franchise agreement to authorize a non-exclusive master license agreement fiber networks to Ripple, say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-1. Got that. And we move to new business ordinances on first reading, also a franchise agreement. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're working a little backwards on this one. Frontier is actually already an established company within the city, and we're now establishing the franchise agreement with Frontier. So I'd like to make a motion that we pass on first reading franchise agreement with Frontier.
Okay, I have a motion, Mr. Reynolds. Is there a second?
Second.
Second with Ms. King. Any discussion? All good.
Is there any representatives with Frontier this evening?
Nothing.
So we're working backwards from this, I understand. So they already have a location or serving a area in the city of Mauldin.
Right, yes, sir. We discovered that they did not have a franchise agreement when they were had submitted for encroachment permits, and so that's when it wasn't a name I was familiar with, and we checked in our files and could not find an existing franchise agreement. And so before we can release their permits to allow them to continue working in the cities right away, we've asked that we go ahead and get this completed, and they understand that this is something that needs to be in place, and so we're just getting the paperwork correct now.
Okay. And so by the passing this evening, it's much in a similar vein that we had just done with Ripple.
It is, however, Ripple came to the table with an agreement that they already had in place that they were working from, whereas we are using an agreement that Mr. Hughes has created for us as a standard issue franchise agreement that should someone come to us without their own standard language, then we would use that as our model language for franchise agreements.
And likewise with that, we're talking fiber, but we're also talking about other types of telecommunication opportunities as well.
So right now they have existing some fiber in their service area and some copper. And what they're looking to do is switch from copper to just fiber only. I believe they have some hanging, some in the ground. And so they're updating some of their infrastructure as well. But as far as what their service provisions are, I don't have a clear picture of that. But they would fall under the Telecommunications Act and not the Cable Franchise Act, which mostly means telephone and internet and not cable, which is a whole different.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. I wish that someone was here tonight. That would make things a little easier, but that's all the questions I have. Mayor.
Good. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve on first reading an ordinance establishing a franchise agreement with Frontier Communications, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Okay, the motion carries on first reading 7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is surplus. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Due to a good year being fiscally responsible with our department heads, starting at the top, going all the way through the department heads, we were going to end up with a 2024 surplus. What we would normally do in this is just bring forward what the plan for the surplus funds should be, and that's what you see before you. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we pass on first reading the 2024 surplus projection plan. Within that, there will be $500,000 to general fund balance, $1 million to capital fund for future projects, and $1.5 million for capital projects transportation fund.
So the motion is to approve the surplus projection plan as drafted by staff.
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it only requires one reading, correct? So
Correct, I said that.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
good,
Mayor.
Good. As long as everyone's good with that. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second in stereo from Mr. Steenbeck and Ms. King. I'll let Cindy decide which one she wants. Flip a coin. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the fiscal 2024 surplus projection plan as drafted by staff, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. Okay. We are now committee of the whole none. We're back to public comment. I don't have any additional people signed up or online. None. All right, so next item would be council concerns. All right, seeing none for there, let me bring to your attention one thing. I'd sent out an email a couple of weeks ago about the Greenville County Council asking, representatives asking if they could have a listing of our council members' email addresses in order to pass out information along with you. I sent an email out paraphrasing some of that information. For those of you who responded back, I will be forwarding your email addresses tomorrow with the note that it's currently to seek information. If you have concerns about being involved in the county's proposed ballot, see Mr. Duncan. There are limitations as to what we can do as a body or as a public elected official. So I would suggest you each talk to Mr. Duncan and be careful whether you support or not. But this is just purely a request to give your email addresses out, which they're already out if you go to the website, but so this particular person doesn't know that. So I would send back the three that have responded back their city email addresses, and they will be forwarding you information. And that information will be various websites that you can go to get additional information about what's going on with the upcoming 1 cent penny sales tax capital project. A proposal is supposed to be on the ballot on November the 5th. So if you haven't been stopped by citizens and asked for information, you will. So please get up to speed on what is being proposed. You have voted previously on a document that we sent to the county transportation staff. If you had such a thing with those kind of funds, these would be the roads in the city of Mauldin we would want you to help us with. So we've already approved that and sent it up. And so avail yourself of the opportunity to learn more and more about what's coming. If you're walking this city in church, drugstore, supermarket, festivals, you will be asked. So I have dozens of times already, and it's interesting. So anyway, more information you have, the better you will be to be able to answer the informations factually and not endorsement. Keep that in mind as we go forward. Next item for us is the call for executive session. The first one is a contractual arrangement.
Mayor,
Yes,
move we enter executive session under 30-4-70A2 for economic development matter related to Bridgeway Station and to discuss contractual arrangements with Mauldin Police Department.
All right, we want to run them both together since we're going to talk about two things. You want to continue with your motion?
You got both. I did both.
Oh, you did both. Oh, I was so busy listening to the first one, I didn't hear the second one. I didn't hear.
Discussed.
That's economy of words, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bounty. I bow to the wordsmith. There is a motion for us of the executive committee on what Mr. Matney said. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Ms. King. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the executive session as stated by Mr. Matney, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, we will adjourn the executive session at approximately 7:50 PM. Good. All right, council has reassembled in the chambers at approximately 8:47. Mr. Matney, would you like to report out?
Thank you, Mayor. Coming out of executive session at 8:47 PM. No decisions were made, no votes were taken.
All right, thank you, sir. Next item is possible action on items discussed in executive session. Any items before us?
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Malden Police Department to participate in the Safe Streets Task Force.
Okay, I have a motion, Ms. King. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Matney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion for Mauldin Police Department to participate in the Safe Street Task Force, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. Next item is adjournment.
Moved.
Second.
And all of God's people said second.
Aye.
Ms. King, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, we are adjourned. 8:48.